Good morning, everybody. How is everybody? Hello to everybody in the chat. I'm Bear from the internet, and a lot of y'all are probably very used to seeing me, especially with this backdrop, doing the brief, and that is not what we are doing this morning. Good morning, Noob Adventures. Hope you're enjoying your sabbatical. Exactly. I'm technically on a sabbatical, and therefore I am technically a very interesting combination of bored and exhausted. You may not know that I am a type A personality, and I am a classically diagnosed workaholic by 3 different head doctors. And I just don't feel right unless I'm doing anywhere between 7 and 11 things at approximately the same time. And because I typically do 7 to 11 things at the same time, I am therefore exhausted and in need of a sabbatical. But I am also therefore bored. Yes, that's exactly correct, James. You are bad at this sabbatical thing. And so, oftentimes, when I enter the profoundly bored yet extremely exhausted stage, we will do what is called coffee time with Bear, which is where we have more of a conversation than a brief, rather than me yelling at the computer screen. I'll sit here and drink coffee with y'all, and we'll have a conversation as much as we can with me talking at a rectangle and you tippy tappy on your keyboard or pressy pressy with your thumbs. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Isn't that just called having ADD? So it is Nate, except I would say it's highly effective ADD because most people that I've observed with ADD don't really make very much forward progress on anything. They just kind of bounce from one thing to the next to the next. Praise ya, I'm pretty good at making progress on stuff. So, yeah, it's not something I recommend for everybody. I think you're much better off doing one thing and doing it well than you are doing 7 things adequately or poorly. So, but at least for me, I'm odd and able to sustain, improve 7 to 11 things at a time. But occasionally, approximately once per year, roughly around January, that'll put me into a position of overwhelm or near overwhelm. And I'm getting better at identifying when the overwhelm is coming. I'm pulling back from it. So instead of crashing and burning, I can just kind of put it on cruise control and chill for a hot minute. Now, life is compounded currently for me because in a short period of time, praise Yah, His will be done, there'll be another human being in my house, which is not something that happens regularly. This will be the 4th time that that has happened in my lifetime. So not your typical, Wednesday morning, because there's a baby coming, praise Yah. So that adds a significant amount of stress. Good stress, but stress. There's also there will be concrete trucks in my driveway at 1100 this morning to pour the footers for the foundation for our new house. And that same concrete company is also doing the footers for the first care house at Caleb House. And so I've been doing dirt work here to build a pad for our house. And I've also been doing massive amounts of dirt work. Thank you to everybody who supports Caleb House and to the one gentleman who has provided not just a dozer, but a track hoe as well to the dirt working efforts at Caleb House. I've been doing a lot of dirt work over there in preparation for being able to pour concrete there. And the first care house for Caleb House, signed the paperwork on that last week. I think it was last week. And sent them an ACH. It's like a, from my bank to your bank payment. last week, or maybe it was Monday. I don't know. So the ball's rolling on the first Caleb house. Praise Yah. In addition to all the other things that we have going on. So there's some extras. Exactly, Twisted Ponies. What blessings? Exactly. They are blessings, but and here's the thing, blessings require stewardship. If you don't steward the blessings that you've been given, don't be surprised when they turn into curses or they're taken away from you. And so that requires from me, the increase in blessing requires from me more Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, to cut out the 80% of excess that's not really doing anything for me and drill down on the 20% that's providing the 80% end results that I desire. So good book on that, by the way. I think it's Dan Sullivan that wrote it, called 10x is easier than 2x. If you're entrepreneurial at all or into personal development, it's a book worth reading. On what's up, Salson? On that note, if you haven't listened to Ed Milet's podcast or YouTube video with Andy Frisella, came out maybe a week ago on mental toughness, an absolutely brilliant conversation. I posted it to Patreon yesterday because I've listened to it twice already and plan on listening to it a third time and taking notes. What's up, Chicken Farmer Plus? Awesome. And I posted it to my team yesterday in our group chat with Refuge Medical with the directive CEO hat on. I strongly recommend that you listen to this and take notes. What's up, Atweb? And so Chris listened last night. Lots of nuggets. Exactly. It's a master class in that conversation that they're having on mental health and personal development and entrepreneurship and goal setting and attitude and grit and determination. It's just phenomenal. So, good morning, Iridium Group. Shalom, brother. So, yeah. So, sabbaticaling super hard. I did have a list of things that I put on my little whiteboard that perhaps we could talk about that might bring some value to your life or give you some joy. Going to Lamsit, wonderful. Any news on Mayorkas? When he needs to get out. I don't know, Andy. I was just scrolling RT earlier, Russia Today, and most of the headlines are just abysmal. I just lack the ability to care currently. There was an interesting one, though. Germany sees sharp rise in fake euros. Any update on the Flash Arc fact? Thank you, brother, for your wisdom and your continuous unwavering faith in our Father. I pray he will keep blessing you. Thank you, Matt Drake. Not currently, Matt. If you want to email us again, I know we had some emails in the past. Good morning, Liberty. Good morning, Badger. Matt, we've had some emails exchanged in the past regarding what you would like to see in that kit. If you could go ahead and just email us again as a reminder, that'd be great. Thank you. So, Germany is seeing a sharp rise in counterfeit money, and that to me is an economic indicator. And what I found interesting, buried at the end of the article, it says cash is still used in the EU's largest economy, aka Germany, for nearly 60% of purchases, according to a recent study by the German Central Bank. 60% of purchases are in cash in Germany. You might be asking yourself, why does that even matter? Well, from a business standpoint, like we're in e-commerce. That's what we do. You want to buy something from us, you go to the website, you put in your debit or your credit card information, you click buy now, takes the money out of your account, and then it actually passes it to our payment processor, who then later, 3 to 7 days later, passes it to us. And the payment processor takes a portion of that money. And so when you're operating a business, and especially if you're doing a large amount of volume, multiple transactions, that adds up. And so over time, what happens is that it actually creates, it contributes to the devaluation of the dollar, because anybody who's taken a card has got to charge you more to do that. It costs you more to do that. And because there's interest involved, that deflates the value of the dollar. And so, good morning, Katie Lynn. And so, I just find it interesting that in Germany, the European Union's largest economy, still nearly 60% of purchases are made in cash. And so there's something to that. I kind of like it. I like cash. And it's knowing that the cash is worthless. The reason that the cash has value is not because the government said so. It's because we've all agreed to play by that particular set of rules, that this green rectangle is worth $1, but this green rectangle is worth $5. And this special green rectangle, it's worth $100. It's the same damn thing, just with a different number written on it. But, right, backed by the full faith in the United States government. Okay. Good morning, Mad Kelp. So that was interesting. Just a little anecdote there. A cool thing happened yesterday morning. Well, it did not start out as cool, but it ended very cool. As far as I'm concerned, I woke up and I came downstairs, and I'm looking out the window, taking in the morning, getting ready to brew my first cup of coffee. And I look outside, and there's a semi-truck parked out at the road. And I'm like, well, semi-trucks don't usually come down here, so this guy's probably lost. So I throw some boots on and a jacket, and I go walking out there. I said, hey, driver, what are you doing? And he says, I've got a delivery for this address. It's like, I don't think you do. And so he hands me his paperwork, and we're like mostly sign language and grunts at this point, because he's an import, and he doesn't speak my language, and I don't speak Ishmael. So anyway, yeah, he had a delivery for me that I didn't know about. I said, so what do you got? And he's like, I've got 8 pallets. Okay. And he's got a van trailer, box trailer. I said, well, you don't have a forklift. You don't have a Moffat. He goes, I don't have a pallet jack. So you got 8 pallets and you don't have a pallet jack. He said, well, actually, they're not even on pallets. There's just 8 units. I'm like, what the shit, dude? Hold on. So I happen to have, praise Yah, a skid steer in my front yard right now, and a set of forks for it. So I fire up the machine. It's cold. It takes a hot minute for the machine to warm up, get the juices flowing. Take the bucket off the machine, pin the forks on, and he's like, do you have a rope? We can tie a rope around the bundles, and we can use the machine to pull the bundles from the front of the truck to the back of the truck. And then I'm like, dude, I haven't even had my first cup of coffee yet. And I don't really trust you. I get a weird gut feeling about you. And I was not expecting this delivery. So I'm I'm dealing with this guy, and so I hit a different group chat, and I said, "Hey, is anybody around that can help me unload a semi?" And in very short notice, like 5 people, and it's Tuesday morning, and we all work, right? Like nobody's doing nothing on Tuesday morning around here. In very short notice, 5 people show up at my house to like that fast to help me unload this semi. And I was so proud of us and our little ragtag mutual assistance group that I had brothers and sisters out here on a short notice. And luckily, you know, my gypsy ass had saved a stack of pallets because on a homestead, you just never know what you're going to need a pallet for. So we had a stack of pallets, and the load ended up not being heavy. It was predominantly styrofoam because it's the ICF blocks for the crawl space for what will be the stem wall for the foundation for the house. But dude driver who doesn't habla on the English and doesn't count apparently either, per the shipping paperwork, the load ticket, there was supposed to be, let's see, 8 corners and 212 straight blocks. And he's like, I don't have that much. I've only got 64. I'm like, well, 64 is not the number. So I get on the phone with the builder. I'm like, hey man, there's a truck here that's supposed to be unloaded. It's sitting in the road. I didn't know he was coming. He doesn't know what he's loaded with. He doesn't have pallets. He doesn't have a pallet jack. And he's supposed to have 106 straight blocks and 4 corner blocks times 2, and he doesn't have that. And so I would, next time a semi is going to show up at my house, I'd appreciate a little better communication. And the builder was like, hey man, we dropped the ball. We're so sorry. The concrete guy is supposed to unload those. And I said, cool. When's he getting here? Oh, he's coming this morning. Okay. So, well, we're already unloading it. Turns out Ishmael couldn't count, and all the pieces we needed were there. And we got them offloaded. The concrete guy who was coming in the morning, it was technically morning. It was 11:48 when he got here, which was fun because I had to go to town to go to an OB appointment with my wife. She's in the final weeks, and so they're seeing her every week just to make sure everything's good to go. Which, praise Yah, she is. Everything's good to go. Yeah, exactly, Nick. Can't count? Okay, let's give this guy a huge truck, right? As a driver, I can relate to the communications breakdowns, especially with abadibadjibidi driving. Yeah, bro. I mean, this poor Freightliner was like one set of beads and a hula girl away from a jingle truck. It was, anyway, we got them offloaded. And like I said, man, I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters out here that fast. And it was so cool to see that people just showed up and were helping. And actually, I was talking to Bob, was one of those brothers. I was talking to Bob yesterday morning after we got everything unloaded and counted, and Yankee was counting. I was like, hey man, Ishmael over here, he can't count. So could you count all the pieces and make sure we got what we need? And it checked out. And I was telling Bob, I was like, man, thank you guys so much for coming. What a blessing it is to have people. And I'm humbled that you guys would show up that quick and help me. And he goes, dude, you never ask for anything. So of course, like when you make an ask, people are just going to show up. Dude, I really appreciate that. Thank you. It touched me. It's good to have people. So now here's the rub. Just the Nazarene Leather Co. Bless you, brother. The help of your people is a testament to the culture you have built. Keep up the good work. Thank you. You have surrounded yourself with amazing people. Yes. We all have surrounded ourselves with amazing people here in this camp and in this tribe. When I say they're my people, I don't mean that from a point of possession. I mean that from a point of relation and stewardship, because I'm part of their people, if that makes sense. Like, we're all each other's people. Nobody owns anybody here. Nobody's in charge of anybody here. It's just all mutual. Family. That's exactly right, Sigrid. Family. Lamppost, could you talk about sabbatical? How to know it's time? Who gets one? How to handle the deceleration, etc. I've never done one, but I feel like it may be a good idea. I will talk about sabbatical for sure. Give me a moment and I will. But I'll tell you, I may not be the person who has the best advice on how to sabbatical. So if you're willing to accept my probably subpar advice on what a sabbatical looks like, I'm happy to give it to you, because I'm positive there's people who are out there doing this that are better than I am at it. So ICF forms got unloaded, and half of them, literally half, 50%, are for the foundation that's going at Caleb House. And so the problem with that, as I told the builder, is A, you cannot just show up at Caleb House. It doesn't work that way. Like, you have to be background checked and vetted to show up at Caleb House. And even then, it's by appointment only. And so, Jingle Truck Guy can't just show up. And so when it comes back to Como, and to their credit, the builder, they're great people, and they just had a breakdown in Como, which illustrates that even the best people have breakdowns in Como. And they're dealing with a third-party shipper and subcontractors and blah, blah. I get it. I've been in construction most of my life. But I was like, dude, you cannot. I'm glad that the forms are at my house, because I can load them on trucks and short haul them from here to Caleb House. But if this guy had just showed up at Caleb House, dude, he would have been interdicted a mile before he got to Caleb House. So yeah, so that's fun. And as a result, I don't have to. I get to watch concrete being poured today at 1100 at my house, which for me is wonderful, because I personally have put more than 1 million yards of concrete into the ground. And I personally don't ever want to pour concrete again. And so, Yankee Watchdog, new Dora blocks are 18 by 8 inches, or 18 inches by 3 foot, 3 to a package, 28 packages. I unload the truck by myself. There you go. Yeah. So, Upstate 717 loves pouring concrete. Dude, more power to you. You're the guy. I don't want to be the guy anymore. Gas line explosion near Elwood, Oklahoma. Roger that. Haven't heard of that, but I will make a note. I hear my honey. Or an invader, one or the other. I'm going to default to I hear my honey. Been doing concrete for 16 years. Hey, you guys keep doing it. I hate it. Good morning, babe. Do you like pouring concrete?
No.
No.
Like pouring coffee.
You like pouring coffee? I'd much prefer pouring coffee to pouring concrete. That's a good word. Yeah. Hey, you're smart. You want to like do life together or something?
We are.
Okay, cool. Still on? We're still on with that?
Yeah. I'm still down. I'm down to clown.
Are you building with stick in the foundation or blocks? So we got footers, rebar reinforced footers going in. I built a pad above grade, and I built the pad with 6-inch lifts of probably 50-50 clay and dirt soil. And then it was 50-50 soil and shale. So I did 6-inch lifts of that, and then I rolled it, compacted it, and then did another 6-inch lift, another 6-inch lift. And on one end of the pad, because of the way the ground slopes, it was at grade. And then on the other end, it's 2.5 foot up in the air, maybe even 3 foot up in the air. So I laid it all in, compacted it, then put the dozer blade down on the high side of the pad where the pad was at grade, and just crawled forward and made it flat and level. And then concrete guy came in here with a Mini X yesterday and jacked my pad all up by digging the footers in.
Okay.
And so they'll pour the footers today, and then you've got J bolts that stem up or stub up from the footer into the block, and then the block is ICF. It's insulated concrete form. They look like Lego blocks made out of styrofoam, and you lay those, set those on top of the footer, and they've got channel in them for running rebar in as well. Tie it all together, and then you pour the concrete inside of the ICF form, and it ties essentially the stem wall to the footer, but it's insulated on both sides. I think the effect is you end up with like an R19 on the stem wall, which is banging. So, and then we'll stucco over the ICF after the house is set. So, Lamppost asked about sabbatical, and is a sabbatical. I've seen some of y'all have asked, is the word sabbatical tied to the word Sabbath? Yes, it is. It's a period of rest. There is no, per my biblical understanding, definition of the amount of time that one takes a sabbatical. When I first started doing this channel, I would work for 2 months, work, and then take the third month off. And so I would have 4 sabbatical months per year. And my executive team, specifically KL, Katie Lynn, has been laughing at me for a couple of years about, remember when you used to take, one of every 3 months off? That shit's ludicrous, because as the way things have grown, be it the Bear Independent channel, the Bear Independent Patreon, Refuge Medical, Caleb House, and Grindstone.
All grown.
It's all grown. Praise Yah. We scattered all this seed, seeing which would grow, and it all grew. Praise Yah. And so the ability for me to unplug for 1/3 of the year has gone away. So that was nice to do 5 years ago. That's funny, KL. I said type A sabbatical looks more like a type B daily life. Yeah. So I now sabbatical, oftentimes against my will, once per year for about 4 weeks. Now, it requires, especially from the content production standpoint, a significant amount of work. I pre-record all of the Patreon videos. I still do Patreon live streams. And you can't pre-record a live stream, otherwise it's not live. But all of the mini consult videos, they're all pre-recorded and they're batched. And so I have to make a minimum of an extra month's worth of content in the amount of time that I would normally make 1 month's worth of content. So I can get that stuff batched out, scheduled, ready to roll, so that the patrons aren't missing a beat, right? The companies, organizations need to structurally be squared away. People lined out, you work on this, you work on that. And most of our people have been doing this long enough now that they know what to do. Praise Yah. And they oftentimes know what, if they were to ask me a question, what my response would be. And so just do that. Legally, morally, ethically, I don't care what you do as long as you accomplish the goal. Here's the goal. Now go. So it requires a bit of prep in order to sabbatical, that the train is not going to derail while you take your eyes off of it for however long. For me, I sabbatical for about 4 weeks at a time. Now, I was just telling Brother Dudley yesterday in my driveway, because like I said, we had to go into town, and I wasn't going to leave the concrete crew here by themselves because I don't know these guys, and there's way too many valuable things in my house.
Stuff, man.
We got stuff. I mean, shit, just firearms. Just firearms. They'd make more on firearms than they would on the concrete. To say nothing of the treasure boxes and everything else, and all that freeze-dried food. So anyway, Brother Dudley was babysitting the concrete crew while we ran into town, and when we got back, we were hanging out in the driveway talking, and he said, "Hey man, how you doing?" I said, "Brother, I am bored to death, but I'm also still exhausted." And that's the rub for me, because I get bored very quickly. I like to have my fingers in things. I like to be doing things. I, for better or worse, ascribe a certain amount of my self-worth to my ability to be productive. I'm not saying that's healthy, but I am saying it's true. And so it grates on my soul to do nothing. In fact, I'm sitting on the couch 2 days ago, just hanging out with my wife on the couch. And I'm like, is this what normal people do? This is so effing boring. Like, people just sit on their couch and watch TV. Like, how do they get away with this? I'm not built that way. I just can't. I'm supposed to be sabbaticaling right now, and I'm talking to you on the internet, right? Now balance that with, I believe it was Aristotle that said it, but it's been attributed to Yeshua on many occasions. First, know thyself. And I know that I'm still exhausted. And so it's now having the grit to be still while I recharge my batteries, be willing to be bored while the batteries recharge, so that when the sabbatical is over, when I come back, I have the energy and the grit and the fortitude and the staying power to actually re-engage, not to come back too soon because I'm bored, because my capacity right now is low, even if the boredom is high. And so I have to rebuild the capacity before I return fully to my role, all of my roles, whatever those roles may be. Otherwise, I'm just going to make the situation worse. And one of the things for me that is very poignant is that when our church in North Texas collapsed, to which we were parishioners, we were part of the congregation, we were not in leadership. When the fallout happened between the pastor and the elders, all of whom, through time and context, I have respect for. I understand now better what those men were going through. They were all trying to shepherd the flock to the best of their ability, but they had fundamental disagreements on what that should look like. And the pastor was burned out. And the Sunday morning that he was supposed to announce, as agreed upon with the elders, as I understand it, that he was going to take a sabbatical and that the associate pastor was going to take over for a period of time to give him the opportunity to rest and recharge and then come back reinvigorated. He instead said, and the elders and I have agreed, paraphrasing, that I'm going to take a sabbatical and I'm going to step back. And I've been thinking about that. And actually, no, I'm not. No, I'm as good as I've ever been, and I'm just going to keep leading this church. And if anybody has a problem with that, so be it. And then, of course, the eldership was like, whoa, 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 let your yes be yes. And a battle ensued in the middle of church. And that church fell apart that day in that moment because of the egos of men. And I don't ever want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that needs to take a sabbatical but doesn't because his ego won't let him. So that's been a really good lesson for me to have observed that in other people, all of whom I now have a significant amount of grace for because I understand what it's like to be in those positions. But I don't want to make that mistake. And so the goal is to take some time away and allow the boredom to exist, because in the boredom, the batteries recharge so that when I come back, I'm actually effective. So you don't want to short circuit the sabbatical, even though my brain today feels like I'm good. Let's go. I'm ready. It's like day 3, y'all. My brain says, let's go. But my body and my soul, not so much. Still need more time to recharge. And one of the things, be patient with me. God isn't through with me yet. That's a great word, Ron R. One of the things that's cool is just having the time to do little things that otherwise I wouldn't do. Like yesterday, I was like, you know what? It's been a while since I've gone terracing through the hayfield on the side by side. I'm going to go do that. And so my youngest, I was like, hey, go put a jacket on. She's like, okay, what are we doing? I said, just get in the side by side. And so she hopped in the side by side, and we went terracing through the hayfield. Just about got stuck, even in 4-wheel high, because it's been very wet around here lately. So that was fun. Mud abounded. And we ended up flying into the range area on the property. And she had brought her shofar with her, as a 7-year-old would do. And so we pulled to a stop up at the range, and she just kind of gives me the sideways look, rips out her shofar, and just starts blasting her shofar. I'm like, kid, you are so cool. Give me that thing. So we just took turns blowing the shofar over the property. I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Especially since many of y'all have asked, have you seen the Sasquatches again? No, I haven't seen them lately, but I do know, based upon my own empirical data, they don't like the sound of shofars. And I also believe, based upon my empirical data, they live behind the range, which is freaking weird. And so when my based 7-year-old just pulls out a shofar at the range, she's effectively, without her even knowing it, spiritually giving the Sasquatch the middle finger. And I'm like, this is awesome. Of course we should blow shofars right here for no good. Am I messing with you? I'm not, Killdozer. We have legitimate freaking Yetis that live on property, and they don't like the sound of shofars. And yeah, so in fact, I may have caught one on camera in a range video that I did. Some of y'all may remember that. Some of y'all may not. But something walked behind the berm at the range. You see its shoulder and neck area behind the berm. The berm is 7 feet high. Fallen ones. Yeah, David. Yeah, corrupted flesh. So, I just thought it was badass that my little one was like, we're just going for a random side-by-side ride, bring the shofar. And then we get to the range, which she didn't know. None of us knew we were going to the range. We were just going. We get there, and she's like, it's shofar time, and just starts blowing the shofar. It was awesome. Squatch or Dogman? You know, hobby farm dad? I don't know. I've never seen one up close and personal. I do know this. My ROEs are the same. If I see one, I'm going to shoot it in the face repeatedly until it's dead. And then I'm going to tell no one but the CIA. And quietly, under the cover of darkness, in that hayfield right there, they will land a helicopter and they will push a pallet of cash out the side of the helicopter. And I will slide the world's largest body bag into the helicopter. We'll look at each other, thumbs up, they'll leave, and no one will ever say a word. There will be signs because the next live stream, I'm going to look like a rapper with gold chains and a grill and like rings all over my hand. Oh, yeah. There will be signs. Actually, there'll be like a D8 high track parked in my front yard. There'll be signs. I just won't talk about it. You'll know though. She'll be like, Bear got awful bougie overnight. I wonder what happened. You'll know what happened. So it's the same policy I have for anything that's a non-human being walking on my property. Pleiadians, Martians, robot AI drones, fallen angels, Sasquatch, Yeti, Dogman, whatever. Shoot it in the face.
Thieves.
Well, trespassers, same policy. I've stuck a firearm in the face of trespassers a few times since we've been here. In fact, I actually referenced that the video that's on Patreon this morning is homestead security and defense. And one of the things I was talking about is like basic things like perimeter fence. And you need to know the state of your perimeter fence because fences keep honest people honest. Dishonest people will cut or trample your fence. And so if you're not keeping an eye on your fence, you don't know if people are coming and going. And then this particular time of year, mud season in Oklahoma, it's very easy to tell when somebody's been moving across your property that's not you. The last guy that was trespassing had little tiny feet, little itty bitty baby feet. And I'm like, dude, you're too easy to follow. You got muddy baby footprints all over the property, just coming and going, tracking all over the property. Well, now I know where you're going. Cool. All I got to do is be 10 yards off your line of drift and wait. So, exactly. First thing, buy a cat dealership. So, yeah, if I hit the Powerball, there will be signs. There will be signs. Coming to you guys live from the brand new Bear Caterpillar. Oh man.
I would never see you.
You would?
Just sleep. Like.
Oh, if I had a cat dealership?
Yes.
Or if I hit the Powerball?
No.
Or either or both.
If you had a cat dealership, you would be at like, I could see you would have a cat dealership on like a big mound of dirt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you would just play all day.
One of the business models that I've had in my brain forever, and if anybody out there wants to go in with me on this, email me in March. Okay.
Oh gosh. April.
After Passover. We're having a right.
Yeah.
Email me after Passover. It's called Sandbox. Sandbox is the brand name. And what you do is you have your cat dealership, and then you have roughly 5 acres of sand. And then grown-ass men who want to play, or grown-ass women who want to play in the sandbox, you say, here's the cat key. Watch this 10-minute video on how to run a track hoe. It's $40 an hour. Go play. Go learn to dig. Learn how to run a haul truck or a dozer or a skid steer or a backhoe or a directional drill or a drilling rig or whatever, a compactor, a track loader, a wheel loader. Just go play. And because there's so many people that like want to know how to run that stuff, and kids, right? Like Sunday afternoon, kids are half price, right? And you bring your kid out and you put them on a Mini X and they're like, Dad, this is amazing. You're like, I know, right? Can you believe that people pay you to do this? Yeah, right? And then, so you have open periods where people can come and rent time on the machine. And then like 8 to 4, during business hours when most people are going to be at work, during 8 to 4, you have a vocational school where you teach people how to operate equipment and how to maintain equipment. And so your revenue streams off of this. You sell the equipment, you rent the equipment, on site for people to play in. You have a vocational school where you teach equipment operation and where you teach equipment maintenance. And the equipment, and you're buying the equipment at wholesale cost, not retail cost. And so there's like 4 profitable revenue streams just off of this one thing. And my bros and sisses, oh, you bought a piece of land and we need to clear it? I don't know where we're going to find the equipment for that. Oh, you don't know how to run it? Just come out to the sandbox, spend a few hours out here, figure it out, right? It's a great business model. The problem is the barrier to entry, because you got to buy a piece of land and 100,000 tons of sand.
People are saying it exists.
Does it?
But it's in New Jersey.
Oh.
Yeah. It's called Diggerland.
Now, see, Diggerland?
Yeah, it's like an amusement park.
Who did the branding on that?
I don't know.
No, Sandbox. We call it Sandbox. That's what it is. Because instantly, right? Every one of you, remember that little Tinker Toy thing at the playground with the levers on it? And you sit on the seat and it's got the little digger bucket. It's like that, right? Waivers. Oh, all the waivers. Yeah, there's going to be tons of waivers.
You're going to have to sign your life.
If you rip your arm off, not my fault. Right? We're not doing it. Everybody will go through an abbreviated Stop the Bleed as part of their intro course. This is your tourniquet. This is how you use it. This is your radio. If you have a problem, smash the red button on the top of the radio. And somebody, KL will come running out there. Come fix you. What's up, Taborosaurus Rex? Shalom, brother. So, Bear Box. Yeah, but see, people know Bear, but people that don't know Bear, you want I'll tell you something. There's this weird thing that happens if you build a whole bunch of businesses and ministries around your personal brand.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to function without the person that the personal brand is founded on being involved in those businesses and ministries. Garbage front over here and kids love it too. That's awesome, Mike, right? And like next to the sandbox, you just have the truck yard. It's like, what do you want to drive? Wait, you want to drive a tank? We got one of those. You want to drive an LMTV? Okay. You want to drive a fire truck? We got one of those too. Bucket truck? Whatever. Just sandbox. So, and what's funny is like if the machines like break,
yeah,
right, which they shouldn't because there's brand new caterpillars, but it'd be like, well, the cat took a shit in the litter box again.
But a lot of people are saying you should call it the cat box.
Yeah.
Apparently Sandbox is already a trademark name.
Whatever. We'll figure it out. But yeah, if there's anybody out there that wants to invest millions of dollars into this idea, because that's what it would take, millions upon millions of dollars, you can email me in April and we'll do something. But it's a great business model.
It is.
It's a phenomenal business model.
It is.
And you put it near, but not in a significant metropolitan area.
Yeah.
So you get the yuppies.
Like outside of Tulsa.
Outside because zoning and land costs, not inside.
Right.
But close enough that you can still service the rental community. You still get people, weekend warriors that want to come out and play.
Yeah.
There's a large enough population. Yeah, Skitter. You're right. Yoab Bishop. You're right. Skitters.
Somebody's got a rich son they're going to send your way. Send them.
I might break them. They're going to come back like alpha male, radicalized, believing in the Bible, eating meat, drinking raw milk, lifting heavy things.
You have that effect on people.
I try to have that effect on people. That's the effect that I'm going for. I would send my boys there for sure. Bro, you're going to have a lifetime VIP membership to Sandbox. When you're like, hey, you know, hey, can me and the Rex kids come out? I'll be like, dude, I'll send the chopper.
Oh, no. Somebody just got an anti-gun Sandy Hook commercial.
Anti-gun Sandy Hook commercial?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You could tell I program the ads here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, I want your input back on this. Oh, here, hold on. I'll tell them about that. I see you holding it.
Ah.
My wife, before we talk about YouTube, my wife has been making merch diligently for y'all. And this is a new shirt that's up at Bear Independent. It says, go ruck yourself. And so if you want to go ruck yourself, you can go ruck yourself. It's at bearindependent.com. So you guys like that design? I like that design. Nick Rhodes loves it. Our goalie wants it. Yeah. So
thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank
they like it. Iridium Group, nice shirt, he says. Also, Iridium, did you notice you're blue now? Congratulations. Welcome to the fam. What's up, Hans? Shalom, bro. They like your shirt. Awesome. So I was on the phone with a brother yesterday, which has been one of the blessings of being in sabbatical mode is I have more time to have conversations that I want to have. So that's cool. But I was on the phone with a brother yesterday, and he said, you know, I was thinking about a conversation that that he and Pastor Joe had recently. And this brother is, he's a farmer, like a farmer, like multiple acre upon acre upon acre, and is, but not doing like monoculture or monocropping agriculture, heavily fertilized based upon lots of inputs, blah, 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 right? Like more of the sustainable agriculture, but doing it on a large scale. And he said, what would you think about a YouTube channel specifically talking about producing significant amounts of food without using chemical fertilizers and tons of diesel fuel and all of that, specifically for like mags and tribes geared towards preparedness? You know, so like when you talk about the 4 types of grains, corn, rice, wheat, and beans, like how do you produce those? How do you store them? How much seed do you have to hold back to replant? And, you know, what's your yield actually going to be? Because the book says it'll be this, but in actuality, it's this because you're not using a whole bunch of high nitrogen fertilizer and you're not standing out there all day picking every bug off of every plant, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So you guys, that's what I wanted to see in the chat. If you guys thought this was a good idea, I told them, I said, I think it's a great idea. And I think there'd be a large audience that would tune in for that. I would watch the crap out of that. Love it. Yes. Shalom. Thumbs up. Yes. Yes. I would watch it. So that was my take too. I told him, I said, I would watch that. I want to watch that content. I think it's a great idea. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to let him know. I would subscribe. Tremendous idea. Absolutely. I would watch. Great idea. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. So just I like doing a little bit of market research with y'all because like you're the audience, right? Like there should be a high ideological alignment between the person producing the content and the person consuming the content. And so cool. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to tell him that because I thought it was a great idea. He was like, you know, you talk about like the 7 meals plan. He's like, what if we had a series of videos on how to grow your 7 meals, your 7 breakfast meals, 7 lunch meals, 7 dinner meals, and not just for, you know, if you're a loner or you have a family of 4, okay, you can take the large scale data and extrapolate that down. But what if you have 30 people, 50 people, 100 people? And so if you got 100 people, you got to produce 300 meals a day. how does one do that sustainably on a piece of land? What inputs are required to do that? I'm like, dude, that's a phenomenal idea. Season said, I think it's a great idea from that specific frame of reference, growing food on a larger scale for a specific group of people. Your mag. Yeah, I think it's great idea. So I'm going to tell him that. But how do you grow frosted flakes? I don't know. I've never done it. But I'll be honest, I've never tried to plant frosted flakes either.
I think you need a Tony the Tiger.
Oh, is it the tiger?
I think so.
It's like, what precisely does the tiger do to make the frosted flakes appear?
I don't know, but I feel like you need a tiger.
Like he just goes out there and like sprays the field, so he lifts his leg and just pisses all over, and frosted flakes grow.
Or it could be like cat dander.
Ugh. Ugh. Ugh.
The tiger shreds the corn real fine. There you go.
Corn in a roller mill. There you go. I didn't know where to get a tiger. That's a weird flex, Vanessa.
Send me a tiger, please.
That is a very weird flex. Oh, man. Tiger takes a crap in the sandbox. Yeah, now our worlds collide. Exactly. Cool. The last question I have for y'all for today before I begin my day at 9:18 a.m. What's up, Drew? I poured out some scotch for my homies and it hasn't started growing yet. One day. I wonder if I plant Johnny Walker Black bottle caps out there, if they'll just, fists of Johnny Walker will just start growing up out of the ground. No? That'd be cool if it did, though.
Yeah.
Beer caps. Just, rows of beer caps. And now, see, marketing hat, like that's a great ad right there. Yeah. That's like a great ad, Like let's say I'm Bud Light, right? And everybody hates my guts because of the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Right. And now I want to get my base back.
Right.
So you have a barn.
Right.
And in the barn, there's a cardboard box sitting on a shelf, and you pan into it, and it's filled with the tabs off of the beer cans, because a lot of the old time farmers would save the tabs and they would turn those into the Shriners, and the Shriners would take that aluminum and generate money for their hospitals, for the sick kids, even though the Shriners are part of the Masonic Lodge, which is a thing that most people don't know. But anyway, right? I'd zoom into that, this box of tabs, and the sun would just be coming up over this little hill back here, and the farmer fires up his old John Deere tractor, and he puts the plow into the ground. He goes out there and he plows up a few acres, and then he's walking through, and he's got his jean overalls and his warm boots on. You just see from like the knees down, and maybe there's some little legs there as well. It's grandpa and his grandson, and they're taking these tabs and they're laying them into the rows that they just made. And then a hoe comes in and they shovel over, and then the kid says, "What do we do now, Grandpa?" And he says, "Now, son, we wait." And then it rains, and then fast forward, maybe it's late spring, and the birds are chirping, and these little Bud Light cans start growing up out of the ground. And then there's one, right, and it's sitting there, and there's morning dew on it and the whole nine. And he goes, "Son, I think they're ready." And he reaches down and he twists one out of the ground, pops the top, chugs it, and he goes, "Yeah, they're ready." And then it just cuts to Bud Light. That is how you get $1 billion in sales back from your core audience.
Yeah.
Right? Alex Toder, great imagination. I'm telling, like,
marketing genius.
Even on sabbatical, the brain still works. Right? Bud Light should pay me $5 million for that. Yeah. And then we use that as seed money for the sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of business ideas, Um, so we were supposed to, the refuge team was supposed to have a call with a company from Europe today regarding getting our products into the European space. And many of our products are already in Europe, comma, the issue with Europe, and this is a question that I have for y'all. So let me set the context first, then ask the question. The challenge with doing direct to consumer in Europe is the VAT tax. And the VAT tax is like 40%. It's significant. And it's basically for things that are being imported into Europe from outside of Europe. It's kind of their European Union effort at, make Europe great again. 40%. Yeah, it's significant, right? And our kits are already, they're not cheap. They're they're high value, but they're not cheap. And so, and many of y'all probably don't know that the distribution of quality trauma medicine products in Europe is abysmal. They didn't have the footprint of distributorship that we have here in the States and North America and elsewhere in Europe. And then between the Ukraine war and the Israel Hamas war, all the credible equipment, soft T tourniquets, cat tourniquets, North American Rescue trauma bandages, quick clot, all the stuff that I would bet my life on, all dried up. And so um, there's a lot of subpar Chinese knockoff crap that is in Europe. And some, like Ukraine, is now producing their own tourniquet. It is 100% a ripoff of the Cat Gen 7 tourniquet. And I think the only reason that they haven't been sued out of existence yet is because it's contributing to saving people's lives on the battlefield. But I don't know. I don't know why North American Rescue has or hasn't done the things that they do or don't do. I'm not in their organization. It's just conjecture on my part. But my point is, for European law enforcement and citizenry, access to real trauma medicine supplies is very limited at the moment. And so we've been having sales to European agencies and individuals, but the VAT tax is abysmal. It's 40%. So if you place $1,000 order, it's a $400 tax. It's not $1,000. It's $1,400 now, plus international shipping. And so we were supposed to have a call with a company today to have a conversation about, can we legally wholesale you product? Refuge Medical, Oklahoma, United States of America, ships you pallets of stuff that comes to you. And as a wholesaler, does, now that you're in the Eurozone, when you retail it as a member of the Eurozone, does that remove the VAT tax? So can we import it at wholesale to eliminate the VAT tax? Don't have an answer to that. And we were supposed to have that call today to see if we could come up with an answer to that. But said company is suffering from shot showitis, which is a thing that's going around right now. Shot showitis, you might have heard of it. It's actually disease X is shot showitis.
Right. Did they cancel?
They super duper canceled. They're like between shot show and jet lag and blah blah blah. And I will give grace, but I will just say, for those of you who are out there doing business, sending a professional communication that basically says, hey, we're too hungover to have a call, probably not the best way to build a multi-million-dollar relationship with somebody.
No.
So just putting that out there. Keep your efforts here. David Douglas, make no mistake, we're not taking our foot off the accelerator here in the United States of America. I'm also not opposed to providing kits to Europe because I'm already providing kits to Europe. People are already buying kits in Europe. And so it's less about trying to grow our European foothold and more about how do we better service the European clients that we already have, because we already have people. You know, the third largest country in sales for us, number one's the United States of America, number two's Canada, and we're trying to push our Canadian friends to the Iridium group that we already have this relationship with. If you're in Canada, if you're north of the imaginary line in the snow, go see Snowbird at the Iridium group. He carries Refuge Medical Products, North American Rescue Products. He knows his shit. And so, and it's cheaper for you if you're playing with Canadian funny money instead of American funny money to go to the Iridium group. You can still get our products from Snowbird. Okay. We trust him. We know him. He's part of the family. He's good to go. So number one for us is the United States of America. Number two is Canada. Number three is Germany. And then in the top 10, we also have Britain, Italy, and France. So in our top 10 countries, and we have kits in Australia, we have kits in Southeast Asia, we have kits in Latin America, we have kits in Africa. Like our kits we've gone global without even trying to go global. And we've had people. We had a buyer from England call us and say, "Hey, I want a price for a shipping container, a 40-foot Connex box, Sierra Land container, full of Bearfax." Okay, nice to meet you too. What color are your panties, sir? No foreplay whatsoever. And Bob was actually the one who fielded this call. He told me about it later, and he asked the potential buyer, "Where are these kits going? Are they for American allies? Is this for British law enforcement? Is this for British military? Are these going to a NATO country?" And the guy's like, "I can't tell you who the end user is." And Bob was like, essentially paraphrasing Bob, "You can, or I won't sell them to you." Because ITAR is a thing. It's got a new name now, but essentially don't arm your enemies. It's federal law. And I don't want Hamas to have Bearfax, right? If that's where it's going, I don't want the Russians to have Bearfax. Now, if I wanted to war profiteer, I could have already done that. Our kits are on the front line in Ukraine. Not that I support Ukraine in this conflict that's happening in Ukraine, but I know a lot of the people who are on the front lines in Ukraine. And not only are they running our kits, the guys who are to the left and the right of them are running our kits as well. That's already happening. Whether I want it to or not, it's already happening. But I don't want the Russians, who I perceive to be the bad guys. And I know everybody has difference in opinions about whether Putin is the Messiah or is, the Antichrist. I don't care. Regardless of how you feel politically or ideologically about this, I don't want the Russians to have Bearfax. I don't want Hamas to have Bearfax. If for no other reason, just think about the PR. When somebody snaps a picture of these shitheads, ripping open the bellies of pregnant women, and they got a Bearfax hanging on their plate carrier. No, thank you. No, thank you. And so I'll answer that question next, CD8.
I just answered it.
Oh, okay. Well, I might answer it for the whole class.
Okay.
So our kits are already out there. They're already on, they're already global. And so it's less about developing the global clientele that we have and more about servicing the global clientele that we already have. And in business speak, these are called nodes. And so I'd like to have a node in the Eurozone, specifically if there's a way to do it legally to avoid VAT tax. And so if there's anybody out there that knows this, not you think you know, or you read an article, or your cousin's ex-wife's girlfriend knows a thing or two. If you know about this, please email me, admin@Bear Independent. If you don't know, I still love you, but I don't want your input on this. If you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know about European import, export, and VAT tax, I would love to have a conversation with you. Please and thank you. Okay? Cool. And it doesn't mean that I'm not still going to have the conversation with the people who are hungover from SHOT Show. I am, because let your yes be yes and your no be no. But see, here's the thing. If you want it bad enough, whatever it is, if you want it bad enough, there's nothing that keeps you from having those conversations. Like you would run through brick walls. You would charge uphill into machine gun fire because you want it bad enough. And those are the people we look to partner with, the people that are passionate about saving lives. I have had myriad, dozens of opportunities to partner with people who are concerned about profit margin. Guess what? I'm not partnered with those people. We're not built, Refuge is not built for retail. We're not built for wholesale distributorship. Honestly, we're built for direct to consumer because our margins are low. And that's part of why I just chuckle when people are like, but your kits are so expensive. Build your own. Go ahead. Build your own. Buy everything that we put in one of those kits. Buy a bag that's not going to fall apart on you, that you can literally jump out of an aircraft with, should you choose. Build it. Did you save any money? No, you did not. You probably spent more money.
There are USA made bags for med kits that cost as much as our Bearfac that come with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Is $300.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I know you know.
But all that
we talk about this.
Yeah. All that to say, like, we're not driven by margin. If we were driven by margin, the Bearfac would be $500, not $269. It's just a fact. It would be $500. And then there'd be even more people going, your shit's too expensive. I can't afford it. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll tell Liberty she's fired. Sorry, I can't afford to pay you anymore. Sorry, Bob, you're fired. Can't afford to pay you anymore. Sorry, Doc, you don't work here. Can't afford to pay you anymore. It's business. Business with the lowest possible margins to still be able to make a little bit of money, pay the people that I love, and provide the best product and the best customer service that we can. So I'm interested in talking to anybody who actually knows about European import, export, and VAT tax. admin@bearindependent.com. CD8 said, Bear CEO question. Why didn't Refuge exhibit at SHIT Show? No, he said shit show.
Oh, he did.
And it is shit show. Myriad reasons, but I will enunciate upon them now. The first major reason is, and this may surprise some of you, but we are not just people of faith. We are people of deep faith. Deep
morals
faith.
And values. And
my guiding principles can all be found inside of the Bible. Vegas is not a great place for people of deep faith. Vegas on the strip, surrounded by, and here's the thing, man, this firearms industry, so many people in the industry, like knowing people, hundreds of people who were also going to SHOT Show. The vast majority of them, at least 8 out of 10 of them, when we were talking to them about, hey, are you going? Are you going? Nobody wants to go. They just go because that's what's expected. But the individuals don't want to go. They don't want to go because it sucks. You got to travel there, spend a ton of money, bro flex for 3 days, be exhausted from that, interact with tens of thousands of people that you don't know, that probably, frankly, aren't going to buy your shit, and spend for a small booth minimum $40,000 to be able to do that, and then pack up all your shit and fly back. And by the way, all the shit that you're bringing, you can't touch it. You have to crate it up. You have to freight it there. It has to be received by the union that is unloading all of your stuff at the docks, at the exhibition place. You want a cart, you want one of those little wheelie carts to move your stuff from the loading dock to where your booth is. That'll be $500, sir. Set up your booth. And then when you're done, you take it all down, you put it back in the crates, and now it's your stuff, but you're not allowed to touch it again. And then they move the crate back to the loading dock and then load it back on a truck and then ship it back to wherever you sent it from, to the tune of multiple, if not tens of thousands of dollars just in freight, just to get your stuff there. Like, I can't throw my stuff in the back of a pickup truck, pull it out, and unload it. No, that would be violating the contract that the convention center has with the union hall that provides the blah, 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 that's been subcontracted by the event producer, which is SHOT Show, S Corp, blah, 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 blah. It would have cost us for a small booth, a 10 by 10 booth. We paid for a 10 by 10 booth. That cost us $8,000 to have 100 square feet on the showroom floor. All in costs to get a small contingent of team members there, have something to set up at the booth, put people in a hotel room, feed them, and then get them home again would have been about $50,000. So when you add in people of deep faith plus $50,000, and that's $50,000 of profit that has to be spent. So in gross revenue, we're talking a month or two of sales to come up with that $50,000 to go to Vegas. For what? Now, this brings us to empirical data. Last year, we went to SHOT Show. And while we were at SHOT Show, did we close some deals? Yes. Were those deals profitable? No, not at all. So why spend $50,000 to go make more deals with people who are precisely, Rex? Math is a blade that cuts through the bullshit, brother Saw. Exactly. So let's spend $50,000 and take people of deep faith and embed them in the center of Sin City to go make unprofitable deals with a bunch of people from the industry that don't want to be there in the first place. And the ones that do want to be there are there because they get to drink and smoke and blow lines of coke and bang whores. Literally. Literally. That's why they are there. So the ones who do want to be there aren't interested in business because they're there to party. And the ones that don't want to be there aren't interested in business because they don't want to be there. And so it ends up, it's like these turkeys that walk around in my front yard. They're just all flexing for each other all the time. And it's just this. It's 50,000 people just doing it. Sup, bro? Sup? You operate? I operate. Do you operationally operate like an operator? Because I'm an operator, right? But dude, shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to be there. And it's a huge waste of time and money to go do a thing that's not profitable and nobody wants to be at in the first place. It was an interesting experience last year. We learned a lot.
I think it was good for y'all to go to know why not to go. Like, it was good to have the experience.
And here's the kicker. We can't keep shit in stock now.
Very true.
Okay, so back to Brother Saw, math is a blade that cuts through the bullshit. Why am I going to spend $50,000 and subject people I love to that bullshit to potentially generate more sales when I can't keep shit in stock now? Thus, we didn't go to SHOT Show. Now, I'm not saying that we won't ever go to SHOT Show again. That may happen. But SHOT Show 2024 was not worth it for us. And I kind of do OSINT, open source intelligence. That's the thing I do occasionally. And so I was looking at hashtag SHOT Show on Instagram just to see who was posting what. It was a ghost town this year compared to last year.
Austin said she thinks there was a porn convention going on at the same time too.
Oh, I believe it. I totally believe it. I would be more likely, honestly, bang for my buck. It would make more sense for us to go to World of Concrete, which is a convention for the construction industry that's bigger than SHOT Show, that happens at the same time as SHOT Show on the other side of town.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be better to go to World of Concrete.
That's true.
Honestly.
Oh.
Go get all those tradespeople first aid kits. So you were some of the only real people my Blue Line brother was able to find when he went. 100%. And that brother's a great brother. And there are some good people there. Some. It's less than 1% in my estimation of the 50,000 people that were there last year. Right, Mark Chase? Oh, so you're too busy saving lives for Bob to be there to holler at hookers. Exactly. Praise Yah. And so I'm not saying that we won't ever go to SHOT Show again, but we didn't go this year. And looking at just the social media that was posted this year, the place was a ghost town compared to last year. Glock was posting pictures of one person at their booth. Glock's booth at SHOT Show last year was legitimately bigger than the house that I live in. One person? One? Dude, last year there was 30-ish people at the Glock booth, 24/7, 365, and they're Glocks. They're boring. I told the guy at the Glock booth, he's like, hey man, come over here and check out our new. I said, stop. I love your product. I have quantity 8 of your product. I also do not care one bit about whatever you came out with this year. Stop trying to innovate. You're boring as shit. And that's why I like you. I want you to be boring as shit. I want a plastic fantastic that goes click, that goes bang when I pull the trigger. That's it. I don't want any other bells and whistles. Nobody cares about your slide cuts. Nobody cares about your new improved Glock trigger. Nobody cares that you put this slide on this lower receiver. Nobody cares. That literally nobody cares. Just stop. Just do Glock things. And he's like, okay, but I said, no, I'm dead serious. Just stop. I don't care. And I own 8 of your product. Okay. And so last year, boring ass Glock had 30 plus people at the booth constantly. This year, one person. So, and even the big winner, if you will, of SHOT Show this year was Palmetto State Armory. And if you look at all the media that was produced at the Palmetto State Armory booth, there were less people at the Palmetto State Armory booth, the de facto winner of SHOT Show 2024 this year, than there were last year. So I'm glad we didn't go because foot traffic seems way lower than it was. And so we burnt the $8,000. That was non-refundable for the 100 square feet that we leased from SHOT Show for 3 days. But you get into cost-benefit analysis of throwing good money after bad. I'm not going to spend $42,000 more dollars because I already spent $8,000. That's stupid.
Right.
And I was the first one to admit, hey, I said do it. We did it. We lost $8,000. My bad. My fault. Comma, we're not going to go lose another 40, 50 grand because we've already lost $8,000. That's dumb. And that's why we didn't go to SHOT Show. And I got to pee. And we've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. And I got concrete trucks coming soon. So I appreciate y'all for hanging out with Coffee Time with Bear during the sabbatical period. You guys know the things. If you want to do the things, the links are in the description. The Bear Independent swag, the Patreon, these guys right here, this company, Refuge Medical, Grindstone Ministries, Caleb House, all that stuff's down there. You guys know everybody's been here for a hot minute, right? You know where to go if you want to do the things. So with that, I leave you. I hope you have a stellar day. I'm out. I'll see you when I see you. Shalom.